What's up, comic book fans? Anchorpete here, and I put my glasses on. It looks like Brian's taking his off. We're switching things up tonight. Who knows what's going on?
Who am I talking to? I can't see shit.
Apparently, I'm the Riddler. I'm wearing a very loud green shirt. My wife got this shirt for me. Like, there's this app where you can get like free shit, like that people just are giving away. I forget what it's called. It's like Front Porch or some shit, and it had a whole bunch of button-down shirts. And I never wear things like this, but I kind of like it.
And you apparently got a piece of clothing from Edward Nigma.
Yes. It can't compete with your hot pullover that you got there. Soil work right there.
Yeah. This is an old hoodie.
Oh, yeah. That's a band that Brian introduced me to, which I think is fantastic.
Yes, they're still great. God, I haven't heard. I'm about to have a new album come out soon.
Yeah. But, it's kind of funny because I said to Brian, I was like, we're going to be very focused tonight. We're going to have notes. And so far, we're all over the fucking place, right?
Well, no, the funny thing is that I said that I'm going to send you notes, and then you're going to add your own notes to it and then compile like a list of ways to go through it. And what happened was you sent me notes, and I sent you nothing.
Yes. I sent you like 6 pages of notes, too.
Yeah, like my whole thing, I thought I was going to be like sending you some bullet points just to cover so we can kind of keep the dynamic of we don't really know what the other is thinking sort of thing.
Right.
But then I saw yours, I'm like, oh shit, I don't know if I can respond to all this.
Yeah, so we're going to try that out tonight. We're going to see how it rolls. We should probably introduce ourselves. We are Comic Books Transformed. We talk about media that has been adapted from our favorite comic books. In tonight's case, we're talking about Peacemaker on HBO Max. We were also talking about the trailer for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, which dropped on Superbowl Sunday, and also the Moon Knight TV spot, which dropped that night as well. So right now, Brian, we're up to Peacemaker episode 7, which was entitled Stop Dragging My Heart Around. We are big fans of this show. And so my first point I have here is we should talk about how Peacemaker did, in fact, kill his brother because his father made them fight. Remember we were talking about that last week?
Yes. And it's so interesting to me to see that full scene there and to kind of see that it opens with, Motley Crue, Home Sweet Home, which is what did they end the last episode with that? Or it was just towards the end of it? Either way.
That was John Cena playing that on the piano.
Yeah, I like the continuation of that sort of. And I thought it very interesting that, they're sitting there and they're talking about, worshiping the devil and doing devil horns and all that. And, their father outside is riling people up to watch them fight and bet on them. And, later in the show, during the fight between Peacemaker and White Dragon, he kind of calls him out for being like a devil worshiper and doing it. But like, it's just weird that he's presenting himself as this good Christian person who is this horrible racist Nazi like asshole that makes his kids fight in a pit for money.
Yeah.
But you listen to Motley Crue is the bad thing.
Yeah.
Like I thought that was interesting. And seeing that fight was kind of hard to watch. Like seeing like a kid. I mean, we already saw them kind of have the seizure, but knowing that Chris threw the punch that did it, and honestly, like it's not his fault. It's the dad's fault, 100% in my eyes.
Yeah.
He gets knocked down, and then Chris thinks he's doing the worm, like he says. He thinks he's just like doing something. It's like a funny joke. He has no clue about what's going on.
Right.
And I think that's it's bad parenting.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's kind of funny because with this show, you and I have both said that we didn't really like the Suicide Squad movie. Like we liked it, but we had some issues with it. And I thought that John Cena was great in it. However, he didn't play a likable character in that movie. He was kind of funny, but ultimately he was like a villain at the very end. And I think a lot of people had problems with him being the main character of this show. At this point, James Gunn has really done a great job redeeming that character. He's not necessarily a different person, but he is like so much more likable and you care about him so much more. And his story is just so sad.
Yeah.
Killing his own brother.
It's absolutely tragic. And I think there's such an interesting contrast between how he's kind of this very, macho, misogynistic kind of guy, but at the same time, he's very forward thinking in a lot of ways.
Yes,
And
yes.
You can kind of see a similar idea with Vigilante. He seems very, very concerned about very certain things, but very not concerned with other things, but also still kind of forward thinking overall. But they're just two very misguided people coming from kind of different paths.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. Like Vigilante, it's kind of funny because I think they mentioned this in the last episode. I don't think we talked about it, but he sort of alluded to, we'll go kill some people, and sometimes we make mistakes and we kill the wrong people. And it's like, he just doesn't even have this concept.
Yeah, he's like, whatever. We move on.
Yeah. So his code is very warped. But it's interesting because, like, James Gunn's contributions, at least in the past decade or so, have been the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, and then the Suicide Squad movie, and now this. And in both cases, these male characters, Star-Lord and Peacemaker, they both kind of have that Arrested Development where they're sort of stuck in this kind of nostalgia phase of their youth, even though they're grown men and they have all these issues. And I really think James Gunn...
What's that about being stuck in a nostalgia phase?
Hey, at least I got fucking books over here. Look, this one. I mean, most of them are my wife's, but I got like a George R. Martin one. You can take me serious.
I can see that.
Nah, it's all good.
Yeah, back there too. I know that's yours.
There you go. But I was gonna say that like James Gunn does this thing with music that, like, first of all, his movies always like have such an incredible soundtrack that just makes you want to listen to just the soundtrack. But he's able to really do like character development through music. And I think this show is a good example of that.
Totally agree there. I feel like the music accentuates every scene it's in so well. Especially, I really want to call out the kind of the end scene where they're kind of montaging, and foreshadowing what's going to happen next episode. They're kind of getting the gang together to go to war and all that. And that song just fits so perfectly. The song when Vigilante is driving the car and he kind of like passes out a little bit.
Oh, yes.
Whatever. I don't know what the hell that was, but it fit the mood and the energy of that scene perfectly.
I actually legitimately thought he was going to die. I thought that he had died when he dropped the grenade. I thought he was going to die when he was driving the car. Like, James Gunn has no qualms about killing off main characters. So I thought that Peacemaker was done.
Yeah. You mean Vigilante?
Oh, yeah. That's what I meant. Yes, Vigilante. Thank you.
But I totally agree. I feel like no one is really safe. I mean, I guess Peacemaker's safe. I don't know.
Right.
But yeah, there's definitely stakes in all this. I feel like just about anybody could go, and that I think that's a good thing. I would be very sad if Vigilante was gone because he's a great addition to this show, and he's a great kind of foil and companion to Peacemaker.
Yeah. You know what they could do, right? Because you said no one is safe. They could kill off John Cena. I seriously doubt they'll do that. But they could do a thing where like they kill him off and then like Vigilante becomes Peacemaker for the next season. Because one thing that they revealed today was that there is going to be a Peacemaker season 2.
Yes. I did hear that. You know what? You could be right. You very well could be right. Although I don't think they're gonna move forward without John Cena in this. I think he's proven himself to be a pretty decent actor with some real range. Yeah. And I think to kill him off and waste that now would be a bad call. Although it would be very shocking. And I've heard from multiple people. I saw like James Gunn said it. I saw Steve Agee say it. Like, if you can't watch this first thing in the morning, stay off social media tomorrow.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm gonna try and watch it as soon as I wake up.
Yeah, man, it's tough for me before I go to work. Like, I don't have a lot of time before I go to work in the morning because my job starts so early. But I'm gonna try to cram it in. We'll see. But yeah,
I was like, Brandon, can you walk yourself to school today?
Yeah. Daddy's gonna watch this show. You know,
you can handle that, right?
Yeah. Daddy's gonna watch a superhero show, okay, with penises in it.
But you can't.
But anyway, so we should talk about the whole White Dragon aspect of this. You know, you mentioned how White Dragon was making fun of or like kind of getting mad at Peacemaker for being a devil worshiper. Yet his costume kind of looks like a devil, right? He's like a devil Ku Klux Klan Iron Man, you know?
Yeah, that's exactly how I describe him. And it's just such a weird thing about how the kind of the sides of the conflict there. It's everyone is a murderer, everybody's done horrible things, but it's just like, man, these are really extreme bad stuff over here.
Yeah.
Like there's no redemption or redeeming qualities on this side at all.
No. We had thought that the butterflies and the white dragon's forces might like get into a fight together, and like Peacemaker might be in the crosshairs. But obviously they took care of the whole white dragon situation with this. They tracked him into the woods with his helmet, with the GPS. And I gotta say, I was like really relieved when Peacemaker just shot him right in the head, point blank.
Yeah, I was very shocked, and I'm kind of happy they wrapped it up here in that way, because I don't like I just said, there's no redemption there, and there shouldn't be anything like that. They should not even be given the chance to do that there. I'm glad that they ended that by them all dying.
Yeah, right. And that was Economos, like once again with the win, right? Mowing down the friggin' guys, and then Eagly got some action in there too.
Man, Eagly took down more guys last episode. With the cops and all that, but I mean, he's badass. That whole little side like sub team there, all of them, they all had their moments in that fight. Yeah, that was great, man. Another thing to call out too is I think this is on you didn't mention in your notes either, that the White Dragon calls out Peacemaker's sexuality, which I found very interesting. I mean, they kind of hinted at it in earlier episodes where I want to say he was talking to Harcourt in the bar, and he said, "I haven't slept with any women in a long time," and that was kind of like a weird flag. And then they kind of confirmed it, and I saw an article about this that was something that John Cena actually added to the character. He wanted to kind of make it more, like we said before, that he's a very misguided person, but he still has these kind of progressive thinking ways in a certain way.
Yeah. I mean, his dad straight up says racist things in this series, and it's kind of awkward for us to watch that, right? Because we live in such a PC time. But then he never really says racist things. He says more kind of like misogynistic things. But it never seems like it's like a condescending thing he's saying to women. It's almost like a misguided thing. Whereas his dad would just straight up say hateful things to people.
Yes, yeah.
And so there's definitely hope for him. And after the scene, after he thinks about the fact that he killed his brother, he has a flashback, and he shoots his father in the head. There's this really great scene where Eagly hugs him, and he's able to finally get that selfie with Eagly, right?
And I think it shows how good James Gunn is to turn a moment like that has significance for Peacemaker, has significance for Adebayo, and they still get a joke in there too, and it still has that weight, but they still cram a joke in there, and it works.
Yes, right, because that's a problem with a lot of modern superhero stories, is that they don't always have the timing right with a joke and a serious part. Like sometimes they'll like undo the serious stuff because they've thrown a joke at the end. It's like, oh, well, this stuff's not really as serious as you think. But they were able to let the serious stuff linger, and then they did the joke,
Yeah.
So I think that's a good point. We should talk about Adebayo, though, and, also Harcourt and then Murn's death. And spoilers, by the way, if anyone hasn't noticed.
Well, you know what? We review this about a week late. So I mean, if you're seeing this or listening to this, you probably have already seen it.
It's your fault if you got spoiled. Assholes.
Yeah, exactly.
But I was gonna say that you and I were wondering if Harcourt, the actress that plays Harcourt, was James Gunn's girlfriend. I feel like this week there were like a lot of tweets and pictures showing like, yep, we're a couple, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's very obvious at this point. Yes. I almost feel like it's like I feel dumb for not realizing it earlier.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, though, is that I thought she did a great job this episode as well. She got to demonstrate her physical skills. There was fighting between her and Judo Master. Judo Master shows up and fights Harcourt, and Adebayo takes him out basically with the taser, but he's still alive, I think. but that is all in the aftermath of this pretty dramatic scene where Myrn gets taken out by his fellow butterflies. And I thought that scene was done really well on multiple levels. He was able to kind of hold down his walkie-talkie with like a band so that they could hear what he was saying to them. Yeah. And then they just kind of took him out real quick. The lead detective took him out quick, who's Goff. But it was like real touching when Harcourt had like his butterfly body in her hands, right? And he was like dying.
Yeah. It was such an interesting scene because they walk in the room and they see Myrn's human body there, and they're originally shocked by that, but then the attention turns to the butterfly still there, and it's just it's such an interesting experience. Is that you're mourning the part that you're mourning is really what you're used to seeing is not what you're mourning. It's like you were mourning the mind of the butterfly, really. But yeah, it's very jarring.
Yeah, you associate him with his shell, but it's really this little thing inside.
Exactly. Yeah,
and it's kind of funny because it's it's like a little puppet or a CGI creature, and so it's like a little bit on the silly side, but it's done completely serious. And it just kind of reminded me of like Men in Black when the guy that's in the head of that like suit dies, and he says the galaxy's on Orion's belt. It kind of reminded me of like a little pathetic little creature. But yeah, it was sad. And so Myrn, if we were to have a season 2 opening credits, now it's like, oh well, Myrn can't be in that, and well, I guess we can't have Peacemaker's dad be in it either. So you and I have talked about. Go ahead.
This is my burning question. I tweeted to James Gunn. I'm still waiting for a reply. So if you're seeing this, James Gunn, please respond to me. I want to know if since you confirmed season 2, I want to know will there be a new dance sequence? Will there be a new song? And I mentioned that the first one, it would be really hard to top this first one.
Yes, I personally hope that it's the same song because I love that fucking song, and I hope they just do like kind of similar dance moves, but just introduce new characters.
Yeah, I kind of feel like they have to take the approach of it's a new season, a new sequence, and a new song. I absolutely love this song.
Yeah.
But I think it would be weird to have the same song and a totally different. I guess it wouldn't be unprecedented. I mean, I think if anything, if intros of shows, the song stays the same and maybe they change some of the visuals. So you're probably right.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. That song is so damn catchy. I love it. So many people have TikToks and stuff of them doing the dance. I kind of want to do it. And I'm just this big, uncoordinated white fat guy. So it wouldn't look good.
I'm in the same boat. I could bring up.
We're in the Economos Club. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Sorry, actor that plays Economos. You're definitely watching too with James Gunn, right? They're like, it's our favorite show. It comes on 9:15 Central Time. Cool. Anyway, I was gonna say though that we should talk about that final scene too, right? Because Danny.
Before we get to that, I want to mention one more thing about the scene with Myrn and Harcourt and Adebayo, and then Judo Master. Obviously, they did not kill Judo Master. It looks like they were tying him up again. I think could be wrong. But I'm still very curious about that character and his inclusion in the show at all. They initially introduced him as a kind of like a bodyguard to Goff.
Yeah.
And he's kind of been separated from them since that whole group was kind of taken out or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I want to know, one, why he's always eating chips. Is that just like a quirk, or is there something to it? And there's still that lingering question from his fight with Peacemaker where he says, the butterflies aren't what you think. And then Adebayo shoots him and we never find out what. So I want to know what his deal is and what is his relation to the butterflies. Is he a butterfly? Is he just working for them? I mean, what's going on? I mean, why, if he's not a butterfly, why is he working for them? What does he see or know that would make us think differently about this? Because it does seem like that Goff is more kind of on the evil side here, They're trying to take over the world, sort of.
Yeah. I think you're right, because he was with Goff, and Goff, they took over all those people in that precinct. It is possible that maybe Judo Master, maybe he is like a double agent or something, and maybe he wanted to get to that cow that's at the end of the episode so he could take it out himself, like to kind of save humanity. I don't know. Like maybe he is with the butterflies that are like Mern. I don't know if Mern is like the only butterfly that's like that, and all the rest are like Goff. It could also be that Goff and the butterflies would maybe, I don't know, take better care of the earth or something. Like maybe that's what he's alluding to there, is like, you know, there's a positive thing to them taking over everybody. I don't know. I do think that we actually will get that question answered, because it's like, it's too much of a throwaway line. Like he wouldn't just say that, you know what I'm saying? Like every appearance they've had with him, he's had some sort of like awkward fight or, you know, some kind of funny scene. They didn't need to throw that line in there. So I think it is going to have a payoff in this last episode.
Yeah, and also the fact that they didn't kill him yet and they didn't really resolve it.
Right.
He's got to show up again, and it has to be explained in some way.
Yeah. I don't think he's a butterfly.
Yeah, because he's they've never shown any of the butterflies to eat regular food, I don't think.
Right.
I kind of want to go back and look in the first episode or two and see if if Mern eats anything in Fennel Fields. I'd be curious.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he's a butterfly, though, and I do think we're going to get an answer to that. And he might even be in season 2, you know? So we'll see.
Maybe he'll be on the team.
Yeah, exactly. So we still might get some more casualties. In that scene that you were talking about, you know, Adebayo revealed to Harcourt that she's Waller's daughter. So we had that revelation right there. She also kind of revealed that she didn't want to do this job. Her mom just kind of made her do it. We do have this kind of sequence where Harcourt becomes the leader. You know, oh, Mern's dead. Who's going to fill his shoes? It's Harcourt. So it is possible that someone from that team is still going to die. I'd be kind of sad, because at this point, I really am attached to each of these characters.
Yeah.
You know, I was annoyed by.
I don't want to see the show, what the show will be like without any of them on it, honestly.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel the way about Mern too, honestly, but I can kind of see how he could be more expendable, because he was a butterfly, and that was I guess the main draw of it.
Right.
You know, he was kind of, you know, seemed a little shady in the first few episodes, and then you find out, and then, you know, I guess the cat was out of the bag, so to speak. I really got to say though, I really loved how frank he was with a lot of his things, his lines. You know, with the previous episode where he was talking about, you know, I mentioned this last week where they're talking about how do they pick the queen butterfly. It's like, oh, she had a vagina. And then this week he's like, oh yeah, I know it was Waller's daughter. Of course I would have did a background check. You know, it's like, I love how matter of fact it was. And it really, it was, it endeared the character to me more so. And it made me really sad that he's gone.
I know. Yeah. But that's the whole thing, man, because when we watched the first episode and the second one, I was like, you know, the show, the people, you know, they have all the back and forth, and it's a little annoying. But at this point, I'm not annoyed by their repertoire, even when they're just making these jokes up on the fly. I actually kind of enjoy it at this point.
Yeah. And
I do like all the characters, whereas I kind of felt like they were just sort of background characters saying their little funny lines. But now it's like, no, you know, this one has this role, this one has this role. I'm on board. We got a little comment here from celebrity from your neck of the woods, Mike Bongiorno from Pop Culture Man Children. The nurses wanted to join them in the fight was one of the biggest laughs of the season for me. That was also when they're holding the guns.
I'll agree with that. Yeah, when the nurse cocks the gun, like, no, we don't need you. You're just gonna get killed.
Yeah. Good point, Mike. Yeah. So Danny kind of spoiled the friggin' end for me, because he did a little gif of Futurama, right, with that slurm.
Yeah. I honestly, I'm still mad at myself for not picking up on that reference earlier. I'm a huge Futurama fan. I haven't watched in a while though, so yeah. So I'm very disappointed.
You're disappointed. You froze for a second. You're saying you're disappointed because you didn't get that Futurama reference.
Yeah. I'm a big Futurama fan. I'm also very invested in this whole Bendergate thing that's going on right now. Yeah. I was just disappointed that I did not get that reference off the bat. But as soon as Danny said it, I'm like, oh, God.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I wanted to ask you, right? You're kind of familiar with the Teen Titans Go cartoon, right? Does your son watch it ever or no?
Yeah.
So you know how Starfire has like a little pet,
Oh,
right?
oh my God! Is that what's the thing's name?
Yeah, whatever the fuck that thing is called, but like obviously like a giant size
Yeah,
one.
it kind of looks like that. Yes.
It does look like that. I'm guessing that it's not that, but that would be awesome world building if like the butterflies were like creatures from like Starfire's planet or something, you know?
Yeah.
Like I know that DC kind of does the opposite of Marvel where they don't try to connect everything. It's like, oh, this is its own thing. And I think at this point, like even the movies that have like Aquaman and the Flash and Batman and stuff, even those aren't necessarily all connected. But I think that if they were wise, they would start stringing it together because I mean, clearly it shows that the audience wants that.
Yeah, I think that's true. Although I think there's still got to be some breaking point somewhere where the fatigue sets in.
Yeah.
I think Marvel built a lot more goodwill with their audience with in the earlier movies, that they were just all solid movies and they delivered on them, and people kept showing up. I think there's been a lot of misses and a lot of discord about the DC movies in general. I mean, Batman vs Superman is very, very hated.
Yeah,
I mean, they're a camp. Everyone has very different opinions about every one of these movies for the most part.
Right.
I don't think there's many that people can like universally agree on, like most people do with Marvel, I think.
Right. That's a very good point. Yeah. Yeah, because even the ones that, seem to get a good critical response and like people like you and I might really like them, then the people that are really devoted to like Zack Snyder are like, oh, well, that Shazam movie's fun. So they're fucking crazy, like bring back the Snyderverse. Yeah, right. There you go. Exactly. So, I mean, because, I just started watching Doom Patrol because you and I are talking about watching that after Peacemaker. I started watching season 2 and I was like, oh, this is so good. And yet I know like a friend of mine who doesn't like Doom Patrol, he really likes Peacemaker, and then there are people that don't like Peacemaker because they feel like that's anti Zack Snyder too.
Yeah, I think at this point it might be better for DC to just kind of keep doing their own thing, and some things will connect and some things will be separate, and just making good products like this.
Yeah.
And it may be just too little too late to really get a full-on shared universe thing going.
Yeah, I think you might be right about that. Well, speaking of shared universes, should we transition to Doctor Strange?
Yeah. Wait, is there anything else I wanted to say? Oh, there's one more Peacemaker thing I wanted to bring up.
Please do.
Obviously, we did see that White Dragon died. But yes. I'm kind of wondering if they left the door open that maybe he could appear in a later season. It's kind of like a figment of Peacemaker's imagination. Kind of like always in the back of his head mocking him or something like that, or just kind of, I don't know. I feel like I do want to see more of that dynamic and that in the future. And I think, Robert Patrick did pretty well in the role.
Yeah. James Gunn is pretty outspoken when it comes to, that whole white supremacy, fascist kind of way of thinking. He's obviously anti that. And I think that with this show, he was given an opportunity to kind of comment on that and kind of make fun of it. So I think that it works really well because it shows where Peacemaker comes from. And I think you're right that like if you remove that from the show completely, you're kind of missing part of his identity. He doesn't necessarily have to be a part of that or go along with that, but it is really important to show what essentially created him.
Yeah.
And so
what gave him those slight misguided elements to his personality,
Yeah. I think that there's always a chance for like a successor to the White Dragon to show up, in the next season. Someone that is mad that Peacemaker killed him, and it could be like another DC because there's so many Nazi villains, right? You could easily just pull a neo-Nazi villains. You could just pull another one in too. That could be like a successor. Yeah, it's a good point. And I mean, Robert Patrick is such a great actor too. It's a shame to kind of not have him anymore.
Yeah.
And that incredible mullet that he had.
That was a pretty fantastic mullet.
Yes. They didn't do any de-aging shit on him. They just put a mullet on him
Yeah.
And they're like, this is the 80s or whatever. You know?
It's funny too, because like, they're saying that Peacemaker's like 40 something, and it just doesn't look like he like it completely doesn't look like he was 20 something or whatever, in the past,
Right.
Like what he would have to have been in order to have that kind of an age gap, I guess.
Right. That's a good point.
Robert Pattinson, the actor, is in his 60s, I believe. So
yeah, man, the T-1000, man. He was so young back in 1992.
yeah,
right?
almost looks like a totally different person.
Yeah, man. Yeah. How old is John Cena? Do you know?
He's like 44, 45-ish.
Okay. Yeah, he's pretty great. I mean, I just saw a friggin' poster for the 9th Fast and the Furious movie, and he's in it, So I was like, oh, I kind of want to watch this now after watching Peacemaker.
Oh yeah, I maybe that'll be my first Fast and Furious movie. I've never seen any of them.
I haven't seen most of them, but I have seen Fast 5, and I did kind of enjoy it, but it was like really fucking stupid. It was better than a Transformers movie, though, I'll say. So, all right. Well, with that being said, I think it's time to start talking about a certain trailer that dropped on Super Bowl Sunday. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I think I've been saying "and the Multiverse of Madness" for a while now.
Oh, it's in? Oh, yeah, I guess it is in. Okay. Makes more sense.
Yeah. So right off the bat, the first thing I wanted to talk about was the creative team behind the original Doctor Strange is a writer named C. Robert Cargill, who lives in Austin. And he's a little bit of like an idol for me. I think he's a cool guy. And then his writing partner is director Scott Derrickson. And he's done a bunch of horror movies with Cargill and just by himself, too, including The Exorcism of Emily Rose, Sinister. And they have a new movie coming out with Ethan Hawke. We're going to talk about him in Moon Knight, called The Black Phone. And they were going to make Doctor Strange the second one, but then there were creative differences between them and Marvel. And I'm just wondering if the creative differences is it just because they're just shoving so many cameos into this movie? Like, what do you think of that?
Yeah, I imagine it's probably very similar to what happened with Edgar Wright in the original Ant-Man. They hired them in the sense that they wanted to use their vision, but of the character, but they probably had a few too many notes and requirements that they just didn't jive with. So they kind of left everything on the table.
Yeah. And so in their absence, they've gotten Sam Raimi, which is like, I mean, could you pick a better person to helm your comic book movie, right? Like, I don't think there's a better choice, honestly. Is there a better choice? Maybe Guillermo del Toro? I don't know.
Oh, yeah, that could work too.
I think I'd rather have Sam Raimi, though.
I'm a big fan of Raimi. I love The Evil Dead. I love the Spider-Man movies. And there's plenty of other things he's done too. Drag Me to Hell.
That's a good one. Yeah, man.
But there's just so many things that are such like a lot of people who are like more film buffy than I am. They could pick out styles and things of various directors and all that. Sam Raimi is probably the only one I could pick out because he has so many distinct camera movements.
Yes.
There's the zooming in on the eye thing.
Right.
There's the shaky cam vision point of view.
Yep.
They used it in like Evil Dead. They've used it in Spider-Man. Like they use it in everything. It uses it in everything. And they're just like it just makes me feel comfortable because it's just like it's so familiar, and I'm excited to see it being used in an MCU movie.
Yeah. I think my thing that I'm kind of worried about though is this a good continuation of the Doctor Strange series, right? And like, first off, I was trying to think of Doctor Strange source material because the main thing that gets everyone excited, because you said to me, you texted me during the Super Bowl and you're like, oh, there's definitely one oh fuck moment. And I'm assuming the oh fuck moment is Patrick Stewart showing up.
Yes.
Right. And see, that's exciting. But I think to myself, I'm like, okay, well, is there a Doctor Strange comic that features the X-Men or features Professor X that's a really great comic? And it's like, not really, right? That he's in the Illuminati with Doctor Strange, and
I think that's what it is.
Right. That's exactly what it is. But what I'm saying is like okay, Civil War kind of makes sense that it's a Captain America story because Captain America is such a big part of Civil War, right?
Yeah.
But like,
Oh, Pete, you froze.
Oh no, really?
Oh no, you're
Am I
back.
there?
You're back. Okay, you're back.
Okay, I was making a brilliant point. I hope it came through.
I did not.
Oh, I was saying like Civil
You were saying,
War.
last I heard was Civil War. You had Cap and Iron Man facing off.
I didn't say Iron Man, but but Civil War makes sense because Captain America is in the Civil War comic and he's a big part of it. But for this, it's like, why is Doctor Strange like? Why is this his story? You know what I'm saying?
I think it's because he's the only character they have left that's in the Illuminati that is either in the MCU or has been introduced. You don't have Iron Man; he's dead. You don't have T'Challa because Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah.
We haven't introduced Reed Richards yet. We haven't introduced Namor yet. And who's the other? Hank McCoy is the other one.
The original Illuminati is
Namor, no, it was Xavier, and he gets replaced.
Black Bolt.
Black Bolt, yeah. Oh, well, we have Black Bolt, but they kind of brushed that under the rug when it kind of didn't do so well. Yeah. I actually have not seen that either.
Neither have I. But like, I guess what I'm getting at is like, I really like Civil War because they're able to tell a really great Captain America story. And it's also this movie that has all the Avengers in it too. It's like another Avengers movie, but it's still very much focused on Cap, right? And then Thor Ragnarok is a great third movie for Thor. And I think it's, obviously it's the best Thor movie, but it also kind of puts in World War Hulk too, but it's still, you can tell like this is Thor's movie. It's about him, and Hulk is just a little added bonus, right? So it's like, where is this going with Doctor Strange? You know what I'm saying? Like what Doctor Strange story are they trying to tell?
Well, here's a better question for you. What Doctor Strange stories can you name off the top of your head that are that famous? I think for me, the biggest things is the cameos he really has in other people's stories. And also, the Defenders pops in my head a little bit. And that's kind of it. And then the Illuminati. So they're taking what they have that is sort of well known and kind of crafting around various relationships that these characters have. I think in terms, like I said, in terms of the Illuminati, what better way to introduce the Illuminati with what they have available right now than to do this with these characters? And that scene where he's walking into that hallway where you see, you hear Patrick Stewart's voice.
Yeah.
There are at least 3 people in that room that he's walking into,
right?
Potentially more. So it's possible that it's some kind of multiversal Illuminati kind of deal. I think, and I mean, it's a cool concept. I think the idea of that, and I think it's a way that maybe, and who knows, maybe Namor's in that scene. Why not?
They've cast him already, haven't they?
They did. Yes, they did. It's one of the guys from like Narcos or something.
Yeah. Right. That's the whole thing, right? Because we kind of knew that the 2 Spider-Man were going to be in Spider-Man No Way Home, right?
Yeah.
We knew it. They showed pictures of potential like production art, and we were like, oh, they're in it, even though Andrew Garfield denied it this whole time, right? And then they come on the screen, and even though we knew it, it still is like super exciting. And so now at this point, we know, okay, Patrick Stewart's in it. It's very possible Tom Cruise is going to be Iron Man in it. That they're going to have whatever the hell the guy's name is that plays Mr.
The Maker.
Fantastic. What's that?
Oh, I think you're talking about the evil version of Reed Richards. Sorry.
Oh no, but I can never remember the guy's name that plays Mr. Fantastic in those older Fantastic Four movies, like Ifford, whatever the fuck his name is,
Ian Grufford.
Yeah, Mark Ruffalo. Yeah, it's all good. So yeah, like these guys are probably going to be in it, and also they show this one sequence where Doctor Strange is in his like Defender outfit, right? And there's a toy coming out with him as a Defender, and we know there's different people that are on the Defenders, including the Hulk, Silver Surfer, all these people, and I think Ghost Rider. And Namor, right. And Ghost Rider has been Defender, and I know they've talked about Nicolas Cage as Ghost Rider being in this, so like he'll probably pop up, and that's all exciting, and it'll be cool to see all these different characters on here. It's just like, is it gonna land the way that Spider-Man lands? What would you say? No.
There's two ways to look at it. I think I think with Spider-Man, it was probably the best use of a gratuitous cameo in any of these things, because it really advanced the character development of Tom Holland's Peter Parker.
Yes.
I resaw a scene recently from No Way Home where they're trying to come up with the ways to cure the villains when they're all three of them together, and Tom Holland is saying the names of all the villains, and he pauses when he gets to Norman. He doesn't say Norman's name. He just stalls, and then they kind of go into like, oh, I can fix this person, I can fix this person, and then Tobey Maguire Peter says, we have to fix all of them. Like, it was, I completely did not pick up on that the first time I saw it. You know, that the foreshadowing of him wanting to kill Norman, despite the original motive for fixing all these people, they got them into this situation.
Yeah. Hey, that's a really good point.
So in terms of this and the cameos in this, it sounds like they will be just more gratuitous for the most part. Like, I think if we see Nick Cage Ghost Rider, I don't think that serves really anything here. Even though I guess we're seeing demonic stuff, and I guess that's sort of semi-related, but that won't do anything. Patrick Stewart, I as much as I would love to see Patrick Stewart, I think there is no better actor alive to play that classic Professor Xavier.
Yeah.
But I feel like that this is a one and done kind of thing. He's not going to be the Professor X of the MCU in general moving forward when they eventually bring the X-Men in. I think he's a little too old for it, honestly, to be in movies for another 10 years down the line. So it ultimately, I think it worked in Spider-Man because it advanced Peter's character development and the plot. And I think here it could maybe just be being used to introduce these characters and concepts for down the road, but that's not going to have as much weight. And, you can't keep going back to that well of shocking things like that. I mean, what else could they shock you with at this point if that's Professor X? Like, after that, what else could they do?
Right. I mean,
the next time they do is going to fall flat.
Yeah. I mean, I'm really glad that you brought that up, because it's kind of like one of those moments in your life where you're like, oh my God, I can't wait till this happens in my life. I can't wait till this happens. Oh my God, I'm going to like touch a girl one day. Right. And then it happens. You're like, oh my God, I did that. Right. Sorry. But okay, my wife said, calm down. But, you have that anticipation of like, oh my God, this is going to happen. And like, this has literally happened. We've all seen it now. There's the X-Men in the MCU. It's like the thing that we always talk about, the thing we're always excited about, and it happens. And right, okay, here, Mike Bongiorno, he's adding to my point right here. Stewart also had a beautiful send-off in Logan. And that's right. Yeah. Like, Patrick Stewart said he didn't really want to do the role again because he felt like Logan was a great ending for that character.
Yeah, I mean, it's also possible that that's not the exact same version of Professor X.
Right.
I mean, I rewound that scene a couple times, and I couldn't decide if that was someone rolling forward or standing up.
Oh, okay.
I really tried to figure it out, and I couldn't land on either way.
I think with those chairs, there's like, you see 5 of them with the assumption that there's a middle either chair or it's him in a wheelchair rolling up. So
yeah, because if he's in a wheelchair, Doctor Strange is blocking the view of it when he's walking in. Because and if there's nothing there, then he's obviously standing up as one of those 3 people in that room, at least 3 people. So
yeah, okay. Well, so then let's do this. Then this actually isn't in my list of questions, but this is kind of where our discussion is going. Can we decide what would make this compelling as a story? Then what would make this exciting to watch? And I'll give you a moment to think about that, because I got a couple of things going through my mind. Obviously, Scarlet Witch is a big part of this movie. A lot of people are saying she's the antagonist of the movie. I think we see at least 2 versions of her, like a variant of her.
Well, I have my theories.
Oh, okay. Oh, this guy came prepared. All right, go ahead.
I did. So I think you mentioned Cathan. and the author of the Darkhold. And there have been several points where he has possessed the Scarlet Witch.
Right.
And I think that's it. I think that's why we're seeing two versions there. I think we're seeing the original and a possessed version potentially. Maybe that's in some kind of the astral plane or something where they're facing off there. But if she is the villain, it's because she is possessed by Chthon. And I think the last thing you see in the trailer, which is that everyone keeps calling the zombie Doctor Strange, I think that's Doctor Strange possessed by Chthon.
Okay.
Or maybe the evil Doctor Strange possessed by Chthon.
Okay. Whoa, that's a very powerful being. I think that your theory kind of has some weight to it because there's that one shot where the camera like goes literally into Wanda's eye, like it like goes right up.
Classic Sam Raimi.
Right. Exactly. But like if you look in that shot, and by the way, I want to give credit to some YouTube channels for giving me this information. One was Geek Culture Explained, which that used to be Comic Books Explained or Comics Explained with this guy Ralph. He's fantastic. A lot of the stuff I got tonight is also from Emergency Awesome. I got some information from them too. But they were showing a still of that shot of her eye, and it looks like there's somebody like sitting in her room once you go through her eye. And so I could see that being like that she's possessed in that scene, and we see her inside of her mind or whatever. Yeah, I think Chthon, that makes the most sense. And that is the Darkhold that Doctor Strange is like using in the very beginning of the trailer with like that red light. That's that kind of chaos energy that she uses, that chaos magic that she uses. So I think that that's going to be a big part of it. The idea of like chaos magic and how it affects the multiverse. It might be a thing like she's trying to change the MCU reality by using chaos magic. And by doing that, it's like taking things from other realities. And that maybe that's like the crisis.
Well, this is what I keep coming back to is that, they're capturing Doctor Strange or they're reprimanding him for messing with reality. Are they referring to the thing that happened in No Way Home, or is he doing something else at the beginning of this movie that's unrelated? I mean, to me, it feels like he's going more to Wanda for assistance based on the fact of the level of power she has and the idea of chaos magic. Because I remember one of the most prominent things I remember about Doctor Strange is from, was it from House of M? Where basically Doctor Strange says to Wanda, like, what's chaos magic? There's no such thing. Like it was completely something that she made up, based on her reality warping powers. So I'm wondering if that is going to kind of play in here, because it seems like he goes to visit her in that cabin where she ends up in the end of WandaVision, and it looks like she's asking for her assistance in some regard. Yeah,
I think you might be right. I think that it might not be anything to do with No Way Home at all. It might just be that he got like a taste of it in No Way Home, and now he's like taking it a step further because of something.
I don't know. That doesn't sound right. I think he clearly knows that he messed up there, and this is something that I don't understand how it fits in. There's a line that seems very important. The Scarlet Witch says, where it says, I do this and I'm the villain, but you do this and you're the hero. So I'm kind of wondering if some people are looking to him as a hero for fixing the mess that happened in No Way Home. Or there's something else. I was a little confused by that line though, because I'm not sure what the context is, that what he's done that he's seen as a hero for.
Yeah, because they even have like a friggin' statue of him, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Yeah, I think that's the most intriguing part of this movie is like, what's the driving force and why is it Wanda versus Doctor Strange, and probably Chthon is like that's the way to go. That makes the most sense. Let's see. Do you think that Tom Cruise is in this?
I feel like it would be a gratuitous cameo range there. I think if I'm wondering, see, I saw someone float around the idea that if it's Tom Cruise, it would be Superior Iron Man. There is a character that looks like he's wearing some kind of armor that some people are saying is Superior Iron Man. I think it's Spectrum or Photon or something, some version of a Rambo.
Right.
But it would be interesting if we see the evil version of Doctor Strange in this, and maybe this multiversal Illuminati is kind of more of evil versions of these characters. The robots that are escorting Doctor Strange kind of look like Ultron.
Oh, they absolutely look like Ultron and Iron Man.
We've seen we've seen some evil, quite a few evil Hank Pyms in What If.
Yes.
I'm wondering if maybe that this is an evil Patrick, evil Charles Xavier, evil messed up Iron Man, and then it's Tom Cruise, and just different versions. I mean, if they have a Black Panther representative, maybe it's Michael B. Jordan and it's Killmonger and as Black Panther instead. I don't know how that would serve the story, but that's really the only way I could see Tom Cruise in this and working, because it can't be for a gag. I feel like it's not going to be a gag.
No.
And I think that's the only way it works.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, that there's that one figure that people keep showing, like that there's like fighting against America Chavez, and then that's the superior Iron Man. Yeah, it might be him, it might not. I don't know. I like that idea of like an evil Illuminati. That's cool.
Because really, they're a group of powerful people that do kind of shady things to kind of for the greater good, I suppose.
Right.
But ultimately, they're kind of seen as kind of dicks,
Yeah. But like that brings me up to a question that like I was wondering, like, because nobody really asks it, but in Loki, they make it like Kang or a version of Kang has essentially made it to where there's one timeline, so that way there aren't like multiversal wars and stuff, and that there's no other versions of Kang, right? But then by the end of Loki, they kill that version of Kang, and then there's all these different branching timelines, and essentially like the multiverse like comes back to life, right? So it's like, how long has it existed?
I think it's one of those time paradox things where it's like they as soon as the paths happen, they always existed, sort of things.
Okay.
Like imagine if Loki didn't happen and we had No Way Home, like how that couldn't have happened, I suppose.
Yeah, right.
I mean, canon wise. So it's I think it's just a byproduct of that happened. So then everything in the past, everything in the future has also happened concurrently.
Yeah. Wow, man, that's cool. But it's a lot. I'm looking forward to like learning more about this. When does it come out?
I want to say like May 20th. Definitely May.
Yeah, summer, right? Yeah, that's gonna be a big deal. It's like kind of Marvel's biggest thing, I think, this year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it? There's a lot of stuff coming. I mean, we had 4 Marvel movies last year. There's got to be more than that this year. I'm gonna look that up. There's got to be something else this year too. But
there is one Marvel movie that's coming out. In I think in a couple of months or whatever. It's after this, but I'm not going to reference it until our Moon Knight discussion. So, do you want to jump to our Moon Knight discussion?
Do we need to talk about anything else? Do we want to mention Garganto / Shumagorath?
Sure. I think that's just basically like a random creature that like Wanda maybe pulls into the reality or America Chavez. I don't know if people know, but like she essentially like punches holes into reality.
Yeah, she's a multiversal character. Yeah, that she's almost like a Mojo sort of thing. Like, she's a singular thing that exists between dimensions, sort of.
Yeah, and when she makes those holes, they look like stars too, like stars from the American flag. Okay.
I just think I only really wanted to mention it because I mean it very clearly looks like Shumagorath. Shumagorath is very much tied to those elder god sort of characters like Cthon and Set and all those things. But being that it's a Conan character, they can't actually use the name, so they went with the name Gargantos, which is sort of similar looking, but looks a little more like Kang and Kodos.
Right, from The Simpsons, right?
But is really an Atlantean kind of villainy sort of thing, which again, Namor, I don't know.
Maybe Namor. Yeah. Dude, you've referenced Futurama tonight and The Simpsons too.
Sweet.
You'll get some points if you bring up South Park or Family Guy. Okay.
Or Disenchanted, the other Matt Groening show.
Okay, but I think you might be the only person that gets that reference.
Maybe.
Yeah. All right. So, are you ready to do some Moon Knight?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so Moon Knight is coming out March 30th. We saw a TV spot, and I'll just cut right to the chase. You know, there's another Marvel movie that's coming, I guess this year, but maybe it's 2023. Thor: Love and Thunder, right?
Oh, yes.
And so in that, we're gonna have Gore, the God Butcher, and he's going around killing gods. And I think that I heard, according to Emergency Awesome, that what do you call it? Bast, like the goddess from Black Panther, is going to be in that movie.
Interesting.
So, like, with the whole thing with goddesses, I think that at the end of Moon Knight, when the show's over, we might get like a post-credit scene where like Khonshu is either like attacked and maybe killed by Gore, or at least like attacked and like kind of escapes from Gore. But I think that we're going to see like a little link between Moon Knight and Thor there.
That would be interesting, but I feel like, yeah, I mean, they definitely have to introduce that god before they have the God Butcher come around and kill things. I think I heard some rumors that they're gonna intro the God Butcher as like killing the like some of the Greek gods.
Oh,
that don't necessarily really exist in the Marvel universe outside of like Hercules.
Right,
I mean,
Hercules.
they exist, but you don't really see them. But I think that the Greek gods are probably some of the most well-known mythological gods, you know, in actual real life.
Yeah.
I feel like you're right, and that would be an interesting thing. But at the same time, that kind of like handicaps Moon Knight as a one and done kind of series, and I don't want that.
No, nor do I. I think you're absolutely right. In the Moon Knight comics right now, Moon Knight and Khonshu, his god, the god that he's the patron of, essentially tried to like take over the world, and they took all the Avengers' powers and they kind of collected them to use against Mephisto of all people. But Khonshu got in trouble, and he's actually like held prisoner now by the Norse gods. And so like Moon Knight's kind of disconnected from Khonshu in the comics right now, and it's still really good. So I could see him, maybe they might kill him off. Maybe he goes into hiding or something, and then he shows up again in Thor, God and Love and Thunder. But the new Moon Knight show, it's kind of interesting because I'll watch the trailer and I'll be like, oh, you know, I don't really know what I can add to this or what I can bring to this. And so I had to do some research to kind of learn more about it. They're drawing from a lot of Moon Knight stuff that I'm not that familiar with, including the villain, which is, I thought it was going to be Mark Spector's brother, but it's actually this guy, Arthur Harrow, that Ethan Hawke is playing.
Okay.
And so Arthur Harrow,
just the guy, what's his villain name? I think I might have brought him up when we reviewed the trailer, but I can't remember right now.
Oh, I don't have a villain name for him, but his backstory goes something like this. He's a former Nazi. So, I mean, you know, obviously like the Moon Knight comic is like from the 80s, I think, and maybe even the 70s. But so a guy that's a former Nazi would still be kind of young at that point. And then he's in constant pain, and he's studying pain, and half of his body is paralyzed. And so in this show, though, he's not really as much of a scientist as he is like a guy that's like hunting artifacts. And when they pitched the Moon Knight show to the, you know, powers that be at Marvel, they pitched it as Indiana Jones in the MCU.
Interesting. I mean, I can see the connection with you know, the archaeological stuff,
right?
But I don't feel like I get an Indiana Jones vibe from any of that.
Right. None of the imagery gives you that vibe at all, but I do see it kind of like that this Arthur Harrow guy, this Ethan Hawke character, is going around and trying to get artifacts so that he can be powerful. And they were talking about that he might actually have a little bit, like they might have like combined two characters, and he might be combined with this character, this villain that is the Sun King. And
that's the guy I talked about in the one we reviewed the trailer.
Yeah. And so I think that makes a lot more sense, because then it's like sun versus moon, right? It's like that kind of makes sense. And Marvel usually goes to that sort of the inverse of the hero kind of character.
Yeah, for the at least for the origin villain.
Right. But there wasn't much to say about the trailer besides the Ethan Hawke part. what I would say is that visually they were showing us some exciting stuff. There's the one part where he throws
Where the
his
cape
own
does the
version of-
thing.
His cape did the thing. Yeah, that's the most exciting part. I love when his cape does the thing, man. That yeah. Anytime in the comics, it's always such a great. It's like a splash page. Oh, love it. But he was throwing one of his boomerangs too, and those are actually called crescent darts. That are like his batarang essentially. But I guess I don't know. I mean, to me, I just love the character. And I think I have a lot of faith in Oscar Isaac, so I think it's going to be good. And also, the people that made it made, a lot of the episodes of that show, Archive 81, that's on Netflix, and they did this movie Spring, which I really love. That's on Shudder. Me and Danny are going to review that for our Lastercast channel. So I don't know. I got good vibes about this show. What about you, man?
Yeah, I've always been interested in the character. I haven't read that much about it, but just the concept of a hero that kind of has multiple personalities and is intriguing. I think it's a very ripe concept for a TV show.
Yeah. And they've even shown like a still of the Mr. Knight character, which is like a creation of Warren Ellis, which is, where it's like Moon Knight.
Oh, I don't think I've actually seen that. You got to send that to me.
Okay, I will. It looks really good, but just getting him out there and getting him into this world, I think is going to be great. And it'll be kind of cool to see him cross over with other characters. One last thing, just to kind of completely steal from Emergency Awesome. They were saying that they might connect this to Blade somehow, where I think there's supposed to be a Blade movie, right?
Yeah, there's going to be a Blade movie. Yeah. And the general kind of the archaeological stuff that looks like the Stephen Grant character is doing kind of made me think of Eternals as well. I wonder if they're going to tie that in somehow, because obviously they had Blade's voice pop in the end of that movie.
Right.
Moon Knight kind of works in the Midnight Suns kind of whole vibe. So so bring on him, bring on Blade, bring on Ghost Rider. Let's do it.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much it. We covered a lot of shit tonight, right, man?
Yeah, we did. And just to cap it off there, Thor is July 8th of this year. And I'm assuming this is outdated, but it says Wakanda Forever is November 11th. I got a feeling that's going to get pushed if it hasn't already.
Yeah, they've had a lot of issues with that production too,
Yeah.
So yeah, so we got Doctor Strange and we have Thor coming out this year, confirmed.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Well, a lot more stuff for you and me to talk about. Next week we have our final episode of Peacemaker. Moving on from there, Brian and I are going to be talking about Doom Patrol, and then also Brian just revealed to me today that there's going to be like a little boys spin-off show called what the hell is it called?
A little boys spin-off show, Pete.
Perfect. Just what I wanted. That little boys spin-off show.
This whole time thinking wow, this might be the best episode we've ever recorded. We did a lot of really good stuff, and then he ended off with little boys spin-off.
Yes. The best show. Well, that's what we should name our show instead of Comic Books Transformed. Little Boys spin-off show. That's perfect.
But yes, there's an animated spin-off of The Boys. It looks like more of an anthology series with different animation styles. Lots of big names attached to it. I think one of the things I'm most interested to see is they have some very comic accurate drawings in there, some illustrations. You see Butcher walk up with the dog. I can't remember the dog's name. Doesn't matter. And I think, and you see the Huey looking like Simon Pegg, voiced by Simon Pegg, which was very exciting. Yes. So I'm kind of looking forward to this. It looks really messed up and depraved, just like The Boys, and I think it'll be a fun little thing to dig into while we're waiting for Moon Knight.
Yeah. So if you guys want to hear us talk about that, if you dug this conversation, if you want to hear us talk about Doom Patrol, sign up, guys. Make sure you follow us too. I'm actually 2 subscribers away from this goal I have for this month. So come on, 2 more people, come join us. But until then, we will talk to you guys next Wednesday.